That's pretty cool. Let's see. Let's just share it real quick. Here we go. They said, "You're not human being, you're lumen beings." I was like, okay. For as human being is of the earth, whereas lumen being is of the light. I was
Oh,
like, oh. As Mother Earth is facilitating your human experience. Oh,
yeah, because we're
okay.
supposed to try to hit that luminous light. So I know what they're
Mm,
saying.
right? Whereas our vibration changes into the higher frequencies, the more luminous you become as you move to fourth frequency and higher into the astral realms. You have more access to your astral abilities, clairs, they said, telekinesis, teleportation, since you're working more in your astral bodies.
Mhm.
I was like,
That's
ouch.
where yeah, that's where the awareness comes in. The more
Mm-hmm.
that it all, so I always twist that in layman's terms, it's staying within your higher self and reaching higher and higher and evolving higher. And with that, we would, we're better people. It's funny that you brought up
Right.
in this because that's what I've been reading about was the luminous self.
Really? I've
Yeah.
never heard of it before. The luminous body,
Oh, it's a
our
luminous self. It's a
luminous
self.
being. Yeah, I've never
Yeah.
heard of that. When they said you're a luminous being, I was like, what?
So
What? Urge?
yeah, I think I might have been talking about in class one time about the okay, so we can have a lower vibration mood, but
Yeah,
they still will see us in a luminous light.
right. Because
Okay,
we
we hear
are.
that now.
Yeah, because we are luminous, right?
Yeah.
That's we come from the light, and then yeah, yeah. So that was crazy. So see, they had a little message for you too in that. Hello, Kaz.
Oh,
Hello, Kaz.
hi.
Are you getting ready for bed?
Forgot about us, did you?
I did. It's been, when you have those classes that are really, woo, and I just turned everything off,
Yeah.
come down, make myself a cup of tea, sat in the front room and thought, ah. And then I saw Julie's message and I thought,
Yeah, you're like, oh, I can relax now. Nope.
nope, you can't.
Crazy.
Well, I'm tired. I was up with my dog till 4:30 this morning. So,
Oh,
but
Okay.
that's cool.
all
So
is well.
I was talking to Kim about speaking about the trance states in class Saturday. You weren't there, but what we went through in circle this morning are coming down into the state of, I call it bliss, and holding that state, how we were in circle. So in Saturday's class, that's what I was getting at, because I've been asking my guides to give me another way of teaching. So it was really amazing this morning when everybody went. I think I know Ellison did for a fact, and I know Tracy did, that we went down into that state of bliss where that theta state where you're so far down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I call it my
So,
Happy Gilmore place.
Yeah.
but
Well, funnily enough,
it's
today I
different.
didn't, but I normally do. I go to that state of just pure blackness, and that's when I've totally let go.
Yeah. But
And the
sometimes
truth, yeah,
yeah, but sometimes when you get into a certain state, so let's say, so where like right now we're in the beta, right? And then you close your eyes, you're into your alpha, but you're still aware. But as soon as you close your eyes, you're into an altered state because your conscious isn't
Right.
working. So then you're going to focus on your breath, of course. And you realize as you go down further and further, your breathing starts getting more shallow, which what we teach all in trance, and it starts getting more shallow. But then you go to the state where you don't, it's like you start seeing images or feeling or sensing more,
Mm-hmm.
but you're not aware of anything. That's when you know you're in the spirit world. So what I was telling them to do is to practice when you're going to sleep to do it. And you'll see what I mean if you do it, Cass, tonight. It looks like you're going to go sleep now.
You know, right? You look so comfy. Scoot over, sister.
I've got my legs up on the little poofy thing, and the dog's between my legs snoring his head off, and I've got the dog at the side of me ears snoring.
That's how
I'm
I
an
am with my fur
aspect.
babies. You know, I find that when I'm in the spirit realm, I'll call it, I find things move just a little slower in the beginning. Just a little slower. And that's when I know I've hit my happy Gilmore place. And then it'll start to speed up. Do you guys ever experience that? So it's kind of like the dream state where when you start to move into that astral realm, and then like you're talking, sometimes you see colors, they'll go real fast. Images. And then it goes funk, real slow. And then that's when I know I've hit that sweet spot, I'll call it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, yeah, right?
But when you get into this spot that I'm speaking of, that because I've been asking to get really authentic. I mean, as far as I can down, when you get in that spot, you literally are just there. You don't even feel like your guide's there, but they are there. It's just so much, it's there. And you go kind of past it. I can't explain it. You don't feel like speaking. You don't feel like doing
Oh,
anything.
yeah, okay. So that's kind of
what you do speak.
What Kaz was just sharing with the black spot. That black,
Yeah.
when I'm all in blackness, but it's not
Mhm.
scary at all. It's just so peaceful. And I'm just surrounded in the darkness. And then I can feel the loves off right around me. Their energy. I can feel them. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great
I
feeling.
personally feel to be able to get into that sweet spot, though, you have to be extremely grounded and held.
Exactly.
You know,
Yes.
this is where the legs come in, where you're feeling cold and you're feeling like you're really pulled down. And then you can lift up higher and get to that higher frequency to breathe and let go and allow everything to happen for you instead of searching for it, allowing it to
exactly. Instead of searching for it, that's the key word. That's the perfect word. Instead of searching for it. So we're all the way into that bliss state. And we still have control though, because we are moving our mouse. Spirit's not moving it for us. So we have to remember that. We don't want to scare people.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of like the body just kind of knows what to do.
Yeah,
you know?
it's really amazing.
It kind of, yeah, it kind of just does its thing, right?
When I'm trying to do,
because you're. Go ahead.
Sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say because you're kind of, you're conscious, but you're not conscious. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so you're like you're aware of what's going on.
Right. I call it being at the little kids table. You can hear, but you can feel kind of what the conversation's about, but you're not actually hearing the words.
So the best thing to do is just develop that. It's really pretty neat. So how was
when I was first learning trance, it was taught to me through hypnosis. So we actually went into a blend and we had a word that triggered us down into that sweet spot. But to me, that spoilt it all because it spoilt the connection with your guides.
Yeah,
you didn't get that learning process of learning the control, learning about the breathing, learning about the grounding, and feeling the presence of your guide coming in to blend with you. And that's where you get your connection with your guide and start to build that relationship up. So that hypnotic state, although it gets you exactly to where you want to be, you're missing out on so much.
Yeah. I'm not in it. I was using that as an example, but it's almost like, it's just like what you're saying is just like what Tracy's saying. So when you're going to a hypnotic state, you're within yourself. When you're within the blending state and in that deep theta state, you're expansion. So when we're in trance, we're expanding out, but when you're hypnotized, you're expanding, you're coming into yourself and not
Going
out.
in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very much so.
It's kind of like fake trance if you get hypnotized. I should say that. We're going to hear about
I
that.
thought it's taking the essence of it all out. I mean, why do you want to be a trance medium if you can just do it like that with a word
I
and go down?
know, right?
You're missing out on so much.
Oh yeah, right. You're missing out on a relationship with your guides.
Yeah,
Too much.
yeah,
Right?
But
and that's the
getting on
basis of it,
relationships with
really.
but getting on relationships with your guide, there's different aspects of relationship. Trance and blending is. But I speak to my guides like you do too, and I'm sure you do too, Kaz, all day long. I can talk to them.
Oh yeah, right. People must think I'm a stinking nut job. I'm walking around talking to him, and then my husband will come up. I swear, everybody in my family walks really light. I'm heavy-footed, so they walk real light, and I'll be. They scare me because I'm always having a conversation with the loves, and so it's like, oh, they're like, what? Why are you so jumpy? I'm like, I'm not jumpy. You just kind of startled me.
Yeah, you're
There's
not,
like, it's funny how we startle you, but spirit doesn't. And I'm like, that's true. That's very true.
Yes. Yeah, I know my husband will start talking to me, and I might be just sat here gazing out of the window and watching the world go by, but I'm having a conversation in my head, and I don't hear a word
Right.
he's saying, and then he'll nudge
Right.
me.
Right. Same here. Or I'll miss a whole thing on TV because I'm actually chatting with the loves.
Yeah, and then you've got to rewatch it.
Right. Rewind. And isn't it great to know that we're not the only ones? We can talk to each other and we totally understand. Where if we were to have this conversation with some, it would be like we were speaking a foreign language.
Yeah.
And I think that's sad.
But getting on that subject of conversation with our guides, we should also have a conversation with our soul. Because our soul,
Oh yeah.
If without our soul, we wouldn't be able to communicate with our guides. People don't realize that. They wonder.
Well, that's the separation, right? As one mentor who I just love, said, yes, some people do think that they are in a trance state and that they are connected to spirit when they're not connected to spirit because they're not connected to their soul. They're connecting to their ego.
Yeah.
Big difference.
Yeah, but
big difference.
Yeah. I don't know. I think we're all connected to spirit at all times. It's just that we're not aware of it. So if they're not aware of their soul, this is my opinion, then how are you're not, they don't feel the really essence of the connection. Spirit's
Well, it's I suppose if you think about the different emotions that we carry around as humans as well. I mean, when you've got that stubborn streak within you, if you've really decided that you don't want to do something, then you can cut yourself off from the spirit world and totally go about your earth life without knowing about these things. And I feel that there's quite a few people down on earth still like that, and they don't know what they're missing out on. I certainly went through that for a good 10, 15 years of my life because of what had happened in my life, whereas I'd been connected to spirit and I put that block on. And I turned away from everything that I used to believe in and stand for.
Yeah, but
in these past 5 years, I found it again, and thank God I did.
Right.
Yeah, but my point was, we still are connected. You're just not aware of it.
Yeah, you're not aware of it. You're completely blocking yourself
because we're living in a lower vibration.
Yeah,
and maybe at that time though that you were going through that, it was a time for some healing, right? And also a time to have you reflect like you are now on how how strong of a connection you do have now
Yeah.
compared to then, because sometimes something has to be, I don't say taken away from us, but we get into the throes of life, right? And that's where we're learning our lessons the most. And
Yes.
it's really difficult to do that. And the loves have told me this. If you're with us all the time, right, what are you really learning? There's a difference to for what you
That's
came
it.
here to learn, right? And then brings you to your spiritual work, for now it's time to do that. But you have to have something to compare it to.
But Kaz's guide was speaking in circle this morning and saying that saying that in a way of saying balance, because we are here.
Oh, yeah.
We weren't brought here to live in the spirit world or
Right.
do this. So her guy was talking about balance. You can keep both. You can be in one and the other, and you can
Yep.
still learn to lift your vibration. And lifting your vibration is living within your soul self.
And that's really right what we're all learning now, right? Because we're not in that throes of life, which is motherhood, you know what I mean, working, right? We're kind of at a stage where we can take what we have learned and be in a position to be of service, right? But in that also, we're finding the balance, and that is tricky, right?
You know,
To not always want to
I don't know
be
about you, but I'm
with,
still a motherhood.
with
that stuff don't go away.
You know what I mean? I mean with
I'm just joking.
toddlers, you know what I mean. You know, with the kids where they needed so much from us, right? That's what I'm talking about. Like,
No.
well, yeah, you know,
I'm
yeah,
joking
okay.
with you.
Right, I know.
They want to get out of the house when they're 18, but they still want mama.
Oh, of course. I
Oh,
know.
yes.
I know.
And it's
We
a
never
life.
lose children that way. No.
Yeah, we're always mothers, we're always wives, but then, you know,
And
we
grandmothers.
learn, right, grandmas, you know, but that's where the balance comes in now, you know, between the higher planes and then Earth.
Well, the thing of it is that we're here to learn by our mistakes, but now we're getting to the point in our life where even though we're still learning by mistakes and within our development, we're also learning by wisdom now.
Right.
And-
Oh, yeah.
Show though that we're still teachable. We're
Yeah.
still opening up to spirit. We're still being wowed and amazed by things that happen, and we're still accepting new and bizarre things to come in because we're still teachable. And you do find when you're on your transpath that you will come across some people that you just can't teach because they've got this ego within them and they know everything. And I'm like,
Right. Right.
oh,
So
you
let me
know.
ask you, Kaz, when you came across this person, wasn't it difficult to not be the Kaz that you really want to bring forward? Do you know what I mean?
Oh, it's very hard to bite your tongue and not really. But, you know, we have to step into that. Well, I just ask spirit to take over really and help.
I always go, what are
Right,
you trying
yeah.
to teach me now? What are you teaching me now, spirit?
Right. I do the same thing. I bounce between what you're saying, Julie, because you know I'm a big, what's the lesson here to be learned? And then it's like, come on, guys, you got to help me now.
Yeah.
Well, I have
And then I always
feel the need to help and save someone. So when I come across people like that, sometimes what my last lesson was to not save and help this person because you couldn't save and help them. And it really literally will pull at your heartstrings. Yeah. So you let it bring you down, and it can bring other people within your circle down too. So sometimes cutting cords is the best way to go. That's because your mind.
To be honest,
that's true.
I think being natural healers like we all are, that's one of the biggest lessons that we have to remember, that we cannot heal everyone.
Yeah.
Not everyone is ready to be healed. And it's when their soul is ready to allow things to come forward, then they will learn their lessons.
Yeah.
And the love say that they've told me this, meet people where they are. And that has really helped me a lot. Like, okay, I see you where you are, and I see that I can only be this much of service, right? And then I have to back off.
Yeah.
Right?
But sometimes you can also influence people by the circle that you keep. So, there's a couple
Yes.
people that we've come across recently that
Mhm.
you see the lower vibration in them, but you also see a good in them. So you bring them into your circle, and then you start seeing the change for the veterans, they start evolving. And that's when you feel really, really good and blessed that
Yeah.
you can
Mhm.
influence people in that way. They come into
Yeah,
our
that's
reason.
beautiful. That's really beautiful to watch them blossom and grow.
Yes.
And again,
Yeah.
but that goes to what Kaz is saying. If they're willing to put that ego in check and
Well, we
allow
want
themselves to grow.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. To be
Right?
teachable and to allow.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so. And plus, we have to remember that everybody we meet down on earth, we meet for a reason, and it's either a lesson or a blessing.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
I like that.
we have
A
to
lesson
meet
or a
them.
blessing. I like
Mm.
that one. Instead of what is it? A reason, a season, a reason, or a lifetime. I think
There's
it's
a
something
reason
like
for the
that.
season.
Mm.
And
I,
I've learned from people that I've sat with many times. I'm telling you, I've learned from Debbie and Mulata over the years of their humbleness, because I wasn't a humble person, and I'm still not that humble, but I have come down and humbled
yes,
a
you
lot
are.
more.
You're
I
very
used to be a little
humble.
bit more hardcore, and just observing and watching and sitting with them and thinking, why are you taking that crap from them or somebody? It's like, but then I saw the blessing behind it. So it's really has helped teach me. It really
Well,
has.
yeah, well, of course, yeah. Well, that comes from also our, I'll speak for myself, my background, right, of not being able
Oh,
to
yeah.
trust, and you're right. So it's nice to meet people like that, to say,
Yeah.
oh, that people do have a soft side. Oh, that's refreshing, right?
So I think there's
Oh,
an unconditional love aspect of it.
yeah.
Mm.
Which I know
Yes.
for a fact that
Mm-hmm.
Mulata has unconditional love for
Yeah.
for society. And I would say
Yeah.
Debbie's almost there too. I'm sure she has a little, but I've never seen that lady get mad at all, and it's amazing. It's amazing. You gotta admit it is. Beautiful healers.
Yeah.
Very much so. Yeah. Yeah. Ah,
Are you tired, Kaz?
oh, I'm just starting to feel this loving energy creeping.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm feeling spirit around me.
Oh, yeah. Every Wednesday, Julie and I, it's like we chit chat and spirits right here, and it's just so nice. It's just so nice to
Yeah, it is. It's
to be able to share that with you now.
yeah, love it. It's a tonic as well. It really is. You can't explain it. If you could bottle it and sell it on eBay, we'd
I
make a
know.
fortune.
And everybody's searching for that.
Right?
Yeah. Everybody's searching, but it's within. It's nothing that you really have to go out and search for when it's right here within us.
It's
Right.
within you.
So they're all
Yeah.
looking. It's.
Mm-hmm.
I then go back to connecting with our soul space.
Mm.
The soul
And I
self.
think once people learn, right, not to be grasping for the outside and just get quiet and go within. That's where you're going to find all your answers. That's where you're going to find your connection with your soul, the connection with spirit. It's like the Loves say, it's so simple. You guys make it hard,
Yeah.
So
which
true.
we do. We do.
Always so true.
Mm.
But a lot of people don't want to do that. They just don't get it.
No,
They
because
don't understand.
no, they like, a lot of people like to hang on to, and I don't like this word, but I'll use it. They like to hang on to their trauma. They love that victim blanket. It feels so cozy and good, and you know, it's like as healers, right? And as you know, coming from victimization, we've all been there. You know, if you could just say, yeah, let me take that blanket, I need to wash it. Right, take rid of that blanket, and and now kind of just step into who you are, and,
But you know, it's
and
easy said
learn.
than done because it's taken us years. I
Yeah.
It
mean, I've
has.
always had been a medium, been connected, but I never really went into that blissful, beautiful higher self space over the years.
Mm-hmm.
So and as I have, my connection has become better. But people don't, it's easier said than done. When you're living in a traumatized world and traumatized family, and you have a lot of dysfunction going on within members of your family, it's not easy for one person to go there.
It's it's not easy. I agree, but I guess for me, right, growing up, that's all I really knew, right, was uh, the hell, right, and then the peace was with the loves. That's where I know that I was safe, and I could just kind of go within, right, and that was my safety. So I guess I viewed it a little different.
I don't think you're getting what my point is if you're surrounded by immediate family
Oh
members,
yeah, yeah, chaos. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's not as easy said as done for those people that are in the trauma and you're taking on their trauma. It's just not easy. It's not easy.
No, it's not.
I
It's
don't,
hell on earth.
I don't think some people purposely live in that vibration is my point.
No, of course not. I mean, no, not purpose. If
So,
so, then I really need to have a talk with them. No, right? No, it's all it's all subconscious. It is all subconscious. Um, and I guess what I'm trying to say is once they learn to just kind of take in that prana, right? And even when you're amongst the chaos, that you can just kind of go deep within for just that minute to find that peace. And no, it's not easy. It's not easy at all. But sometimes that saved me, really. And I'm sure
yeah.
with you too, you guys
Well, I
too,
know that
at
I
some
connected.
point,
Mine was my soul space. I always went to my
right?
soul. And I have felt my soul in the past literally want to just give up. My soul is
Oh
what
yeah,
has free will. But I just know that it's just not easy for most people to get out of that space.
nope. Oh
So that's
no.
why you'll see most mediums come to full development, or will never fully develop, but I'll use that term anyway. You'll see most of
Mm-hmm.
them not come to fully development, not come to that healing space until their families have grown and maybe they've gotten older. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I
And
do totally. Yeah, yeah. Yo,
too busy
yes.
taking care of and learning lessons along the way. Sure, you know.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier. The being in that throes of of life when we're raising
Yeah.
kids and we're taking care of everybody but us, right?
Mhm.
And it's
Yeah.
that's tough, very tough. And
That's
then,
where our lessons are coming in. We're making
oh
sacrifices and we
yeah,
realize we're sacrificing as we go on because at the same time we're made to feel like we're supposed to be doing this. Mostly women are made to
right.
feel like and it's that as well. So, you know, so anyway, it's hard to do it. So eventually we are into the 4D, 5D world, that so to speak, which I just call it a higher vibration world.
Right.
So fifth dimension, we're headed in that fifth dimension now, but not everybody is. The world is not going to change. We are going to
Nope.
change.
Right.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
We're just going to
Mhm.
be living a more spiritual led life. And people like that are going to be gathering together. And of course, there's always going to be a percentage that are interested in that. So
Yeah.
they're going to be left in that sort of like 3D energy of all the anger and rioting that's going off.
And I
Whereas
can
if
feel
you
it.
think
Can't you
about
feel
it,
it?
you can feel it. I mean, if I think about myself back at the start of COVID and how anxious I used to be, and the fear mongering that went on the media and that, that's what I lived every day, and I was worried to be alive.
Yeah.
Whereas now there's far more atrocities going off in the world, and I just accept that it's going off now, and I am grateful for waking up in the morning. I'm grateful for breathing. I'm grateful for my family around me, and I am in that space of love, and I'm not living a fear-based life anymore,
Yeah.
and it makes such a
Right.
difference.
Huge, right?
Huge
Huge difference.
So
to
when we
wake
went
up and be grateful and not to have fear. Huge.
so when we went into 2020 and the world stood still, wouldn't it be amazing if we could have another stillness where, because COVID shut down so much, it would be amazing only if you could shut down war. If there's a way you could do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it did shut down living a human existence, if you want to say, but it
Yeah.
opened up so much
Yeah, it did.
for the spiritual realm, especially with Zoom and technology. And it's wonderful to know that we can connect in all corners of the world
right.
and
Yeah.
find
It
our
opened my
actual
world.
soul family. When you really connect in with people, and you know when you've met them, you
Yeah.
just know you do, and it's wonderful.
It is
It really
wonderful.
is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. COVID opened up my world because
Certainly opened up mine as well.
right, I didn't even know Zoom existed. I didn't
Really?
know. I mean, I've been sitting with the Loves forever. It was just me and the Loves. I had no idea that there was circles, that there was, right. I got all my training since I was little from them. Then when I found out about, oh, there's circles and there's this and there's that, there's Zoom. It was like all this
What
stuff
was
I'd
it?
been doing with the Loves. You had circles for. I was like, oh, hello, Julie.
What were we doing before? I forget Skype. What was it called before Zoom? I used
Skype.
to
Wasn't
use
it Skype?
Oh, I couldn't
Skype.
stand Skype. I used to use.
Skype.
I didn't like Skype too much.
There was the old MSN chat rooms as well. Do you remember those?
I used to
I
love the
used to
chat rooms.
frequent a couple of spiritual ones in there where they did sort of like weekly services and card readings and things.
Yeah.
I used to enjoy those, but I mean, I was very late at night because again, it was sort of like I was linking into groups within the USA and over that, so it was late my time. But I've always been a
Right.
night. That's
Yeah.
just me. I'm happy.
Isn't
Me
it
too.
funny?
I'm a night
Because
owl.
during COVID, I used to get up at 2 a.m. to watch the services in the UK, and that's when Red Cloud visited me one night. Yeah, he visited me once before in a vision, and this time he actually was right right beside me, like he was floating watching TV with me. I'll never forget it. But it was
And who
because
was that?
of Red Cloud. He's not my guy, but
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
yeah, he talked to me about my grandson.
That's way cool.
So I never forgot
That is
that.
awesome.
You're talking about you getting up for the US, and I used to get up in the middle of our hour of the night for the UK.
Yeah.
A lot of services going on then.
Yeah. I can imagine. Yeah. 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 Thank the world it did actually. I mean, just look what we've achieved in those 3 to 4 years. Look how many mediums have been brought out of the comfort zone and thrown into service, and all these new teachers are stepping up to teach the newly awakened that's happening. It's just very thought provoking, really, when you think about it, how it's happening.
Yeah, it's like since. Oh, go ahead, Julie.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to say since COVID, it's like the way I envision it. It was like there was this huge awakening brought to the forefront, and it was like everybody was like on this race all of a sudden, and it was like whoa, 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 slow down now. You know, you don't have to be on this race for spirituality or to be, a psychic or a medium. You know, you can still take your time.
I can remember being told you can't do trance on Zoom, you can't do this. I was doing trance on Skype, but you can't do it over the computer. You could have a seizure, you could do this and that. That's not true.
Right.
Worst thing you can fall asleep. Yeah.
Right, that's true. The worst that's going to happen, you're going to drool.
And
See,
it
that was
was
a big
so
thing over
neat.
here in the UK with the you can't do this and you can't do that, and you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't
Yeah.
do that, and there's so many rules and regulations. But at the end of the day, the spirit world are far more cleverer than what these people have believed them to be, and they've shown the way forward. They're learning as
Have to
much
let
as
them.
we're learning,
Yeah.
and
So
it's
he-
amazing.
All right.
Yeah. So
Really, it's
much,
amazing.
there was so much structure with spirit. I mean, I like to keep my circle structure to a point where discipline within, you show up and this and that, but not
Yeah.
the structure of spirit. There was so much structure with it when I met, which made me, I'm not going to underestimate, I mean, I don't mean any offense, but from most people from the UK saying it's either this way or you're not connected. So that way or this way or
Yep.
that way. And you just spirit was kept in a box when they really
Right.
want
It was a
to
disservice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a real disservice to spirit. But right, that was working with the old energy though too, right? Is what I
Yeah.
call it.
Still
The
that way
old
with
Yeah.
energy.
because I've had a
Mhm.
couple of
Yes, it
people.
is. Yes, it is. When I was going through all those surgeries, you remember the breast thing? I was told by a mentor, no, you can't continue with trance. What? Why not? Oh, well, because it won't be authentic, because you have to be healed before you can continue with trance. And I was like, no one's ever completely healed. We're all going through something physically or, emotionally. No, what? Urge? And so,
But you know
that's when
what? You know what, Kim, what that goes back to emotional healing. You can have physical elements and within your body and still have a beautiful connection with spirit and able to come.
I totally agree.
It's so whoever told you that, I'm going to say was wrong. Emotion.
Oh, totally. Right. But it was to the point where it was like, it was almost crushing. And that's when the loves directed me to Andy. And I emailed him, and basically he was like, oh, that's a bunch of hogwash. Get on over here to me. And I was like, thank you. Because I was doing trance in the hospital just so I could make it through that 18 feet of packing, where the loves would just come on in. And I literally felt nothing. I was out. I was in my nice little Happy Gilmore place. And that's when it was really significant to me on what spirit could do if you allowed it.
Yeah.
If you trusted them enough, right, that they would keep you safe, but they would swoop in, and literally I would feel nothing. And the nurses were amazed.
When we talk about safety with spirit, because spirit can keep us safe within ourselves, but not within the outside world. So some people think we can pray to God, pray to our guides and ask our guides to keep us safe, but it's only within that comfort that we're safe. They can't interfere with anything. Well, I'm saying,
I think people get it's a good point. That's a very good point to bring up, right? Because I think there's a confusion out there. Exactly like you're saying, right? No, they're not gonna, swoop on in and save the day, but they will give you comfort while you're going through the physical. If you allow, if you ask them to. It's worked for me. I guess you have to experience it. I guess you have to go through a physical trauma like that to really know and feel what spirit can do if you allow it. Because that's what they always say. Child, you didn't ask. Oh, thanks. You're cheeky.
The most comfort I've ever had, to be honest with you, is with my soul. I've never bypassed my soul. I've always, my guides are there, but my comfort is, and then if you do get a guide, I don't know if you've experienced this, that you feel that profound connection with, that wonderful beautiness, it's because they are so connected with us in another lifetime, or we were that guide in a lifetime.
Yeah.
Yeah. Teaku has shown me. Has any of your guides shown you a lifetime? like pictures of a lifetime that you shared together?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing. It's just amazing.
Yeah. It is amazing.
And it makes sense though, doesn't it? It makes sense why you would have that closeness, that why you feel like when Teaku's around me or Sila, I feel home. I feel this kinship. I feel like you were to hug your grandma, right? I just feel that okay, that's home. I feel safe now.
I feel that more with this lady guy that I'm developing with right now.
Mm,
Anything, it's the best feeling thing.
It's a bit like a soul flame, really, isn't it? When
Mhm.
you get a guide that you're so connected to, it's like White Bear. I found out about White Bear when I was 19, and he's still there, and he's been there since birth. I mean, I've learned a lot about him over the years, and when I get to a state of confusion in anything or life, I just know that I can sit down and call upon him, and it's just his calmness just floods over me,
mm-hmm.
and it is wonderful. And I think it's through him that I've learned to cope with certain people, places, and events that aren't right for me or feel wrong. And people do say to me, you're too soft, you allow people to mistreat you. And I think, well, no, I don't, because it's them that's in the wrong. They shouldn't be, bringing these energies forward, because all I'm doing is allowing people to be who they are, and hopefully I'm helping in some way. Uh, my mum always said to me, I'm a sucker for an underdog. If I can try and help somebody, I will. And she says, you will be using life, having that energy around you. But I'd rather be like that, because it's just my essence. But when now and
Mm-hmm.
again somebody will tweak a nerve that will hurt, I just think
Right.
of White Bear, and this energy just comes floating over me, and it's gone.
Yeah, we do have to be careful about allowing people to we need to nurture our energy. We do have to be careful about people abusing us in our energy, because we're not supposed to
Mm-hmm.
allow it. These are lessons that we are supposed to learn to stop that abuse and not
Yeah.
to accept it. So once just cut the cords is all you have to do. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
People my husband used to tell me back then that I was such a softie, this and that. But it was my essence. I love animals. I love people. I love this and that. So
Mm-hmm.
when I did grow harder, I wasn't happy. But I still am
Mhm.
not going to allow somebody to come in, and once I see the connection of abuse of that personality, I'm cutting it off. I'm not. I just refuse
I'm
to.
the same way. Gone.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't
yeah.
have time. Don't have time anymore. But I won't let that change
Exactly.
Change you as a
who I am.
person. Yeah,
Just like
yeah.
you, right?
That's where I
And
Yeah,
think the
that's what
lessons
I
are.
that's
mean.
the
Yeah,
lesson, I think.
yeah. Never change yourself for anyone. Just
No.
be you,
Right.
and you'll
And
attract the right people.
every time you get a pain of hurt, it's putting you in a lower vibration too for a period of time to heal. There's another
Mm-hmm.
emotional healing that you have to go through. So why
Hmm.
stay in that place to help someone else that won't help themselves?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Very good point.
yes,
Very good point.
yes.
What's wrong?
And Kaz, I was gonna say with when you are in trance with a white bear, you can feel that connection between you two.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
You can feel it without a doubt.
yeah.
And
It's just natural, really, if you think about it.
mm-hmm.
I mean, there's pattern as well, but from what I'm learning of late, that the three or four personalities, I'll call them, that are coming through and presenting themselves in trance, they're telling me that they're all linked as one guide, and it's just their lifetimes that they've had on Earth. So I'm finding that one fascinating as well.
Mm-hmm.
I really am. But
Yeah.
when I sort them out and actually look at the features, you can actually see how the features morph into into
Yes,
each one.
yes.
They've got those similarities when you
That's
go
so
search
true.
them
Yeah.
out.
That
Yeah.
makes sense. That does not
Mhm.
make sense, because I
Mhm.
know when the Loves presented, they said, they were 7, but then it was like Sela was like, but I am the mouth for the 7, and then it turned into, but we are one, and then it was like, okay, I get what you guys are saying now, just what you explained. Okay, I get you now. But they
Yeah.
have to do it like that, explain it like that, little by little, don't they? Because if they laid it all on us at once, it'd be, too much sometimes. It has to be
Yeah.
kind of drip, 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 drip.
Yeah, that's so true. That makes so much sense.
And
So,
like Julie, with your new guide too, she's a great storyteller. And when
isn't
when
yeah.
you two are working together, you can feel that, wow, you guys have been together for a while. It's not your first rodeo together. You can feel that.
Well, I think too with Grumpy too, but I do know that
Yes.
she comes sometimes. I love the fact that you can actually admit that you work and plan with your guide. Ray used to be in the Friday Circle, and I could feel this new guide wanting to come through, but he always tells us they're not new. They were with us all this time, and I do feel that. But I remember him saying I want to work with them for a while before I bring them through, and now I get it. We really need, when you have them coming through, if you really want to get to that bliss with them and everything, you just want to work with them, and it's really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but don't you agree, Kaz, that when we start trance as a beginner, we should not be working with multiple guides or trying to? It can be confusing.
Okay.
We should be working with a one guide that's coming through and not trying to bring in others constantly, because it's that's what I have found with a lot of people that are beginning trance. They'll say, well, they don't, it's like they're not trying to take that time to work with that one guide that's going to lead them into that other state of bliss with your other guides. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's something that I have been teaching you. They all connected in this group that I've got with one guide, and I've said, ask for that guide to come through each week, because you've got to build that relationship up
Mhm.
to get that stronger blend, to
I
get
agree.
that comfort zone coming
Yeah.
through. Once they've stepped over the threshold and they feel comfortable, then they go into a state of allowance, and that's when other guides will come in. But there's one or two that I've witnessed, not in my group, but in other circles I've been in over the years. They've got 4 or 5 guides coming through, and it's almost like they've got schizophrenia, if you want to say, because they're not really getting to
Right.
know who the
Yeah.
main guide is. They're not getting to know the personalities, and they're probably not even bringing a conversation through from spirit. I think it's very much ego based
You're talking
when
about,
you've got this multiple coming through at the
Right.
beginning.
yeah, at the beginning, because I was going to say you have multiples
Mm-hmm.
coming through. You have more than a couple. But yeah, I do believe that at the beginning. I agree wholeheartedly with you that at the beginning you do have you should not be bringing more, and it's true.
Mm.
I
I
and
concur.
but getting it through to people nowadays, it's just they don't listen to their teaching
No,
leaders. Yeah.
no, they're certainly wanting to run before they can walk.
Right? It's that race.
Yeah,
It's like, take your time. It's
It's
you're not
so
going to finish the
rewarding.
race. That's what life is about. So it's
yeah,
not a race. Take your
yeah.
time.
So rewarding to climb that mountain and reach the
Mm.
top
Mm-hmm.
without just jumping to the top. So
Mm-hmm.
and it's just it's nice. The same thing
Right?
with
To take your time.
transfiguration.
Mm-hmm.
My
With all
mother would explain it
To take
like
your
this.
time.
I can feel her around now, and she would say, when I got into the car with your dad, I always asked to take the country roads so I could take in the scenery and enjoy the ride and really get the ambience of it all, rather than going
Mm-hmm.
down a straight motorway, boom, straight to the
yeah.
destination. And
Right.
that's how she would have said it within this aspect of trance and learning it. Take the ride, enjoy it for what it is,
Yeah.
because you'll get so much more out of it, and it'll lead you down so many more avenues that you didn't expect in the first place.
And then
Who
they're not
knows
really
what's out
developed if they
there?
don't. You know,
Yeah,
you're not developed if you don't take the ride.
Right. And it's a beautiful ride, you know?
Yeah.
You get to stop at the rest stops for a while and get back on, and right, it's a beautiful ride.
Yeah.
Meeting your different guides and letting their personalities come through. It's just, I wouldn't want to rush any of it. None of it.
Mm.
Because I don't know what that accomplishes in the end, really.
That's just it.
Right. It accomplishes nothing. You're not going to be able to hang your sign out any quicker open, right? Than if you took your time. Because you're really going to do yourself a disservice, the spirit world a disservice, and any potential clientele a disservice if you're going to rush it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's going to be felt. It's going to be felt. So you just take your time and enjoy it.
So Kaz, tell us a little bit about yourself before it's time to go. You teach.
I am teaching. Yeah, I've just started teaching trance, and I am absolutely loving it. But I've sort of like been into the spiritual realms as trance mediumship from being born. I won't really say I was conditioned out of it, but I was sort of like told to take a step back because my mother was sort of like unnerved. I was the kid that had what they call them, secret friends that I used to speak to that couldn't be seen, invisible friends, that's it. And I'd be out in the garden, I'd be playing with the fairies and the pixies and such as, and love nature and blah, blah, blah. And I got conditioned out of it rather young to a point. But I hit the age of about 10, 11. And have you ever heard of the night terrors? When you actually start to see the spirit world. And I used to be so frightened on a night I wouldn't get out of bed for what I could see in my room. I mean, I was seeing like witches' faces, I was seeing horses travelling through the room with Indians on, Black Panthers coming up, and you name it, and it was in my room. So I used to scream for my mum, scream, 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 and she'd come running upstairs. And she said, "Oh, there's nothing there." And she put a light on. The light was on, I was okay. Didn't see anything. As soon as that light went out, there it was again. And I went through 3 years of that. Never thought note about it. And then it just sort of like broke away. So from there on in, I went back to sort of like normal childhood life, 13, 14, school were a big thing. And there was an old lady that was a friend of my grandma's that lived a couple of streets away, and she passed me a packet of French tarot cards. They were French, beautiful cards full of animals and things like that. They had like a little verse on each card. And I just started playing with those cards and giving readings, and I don't know how I was getting these messages through, but it was just coming direct through. And that's how my journey started, really. So I, to this day, believe I was remembering something from a past life. At the age of 16, I stumbled into the SNU churches and met the way of the SNU. I was in home circles, done rescue circles, healing circles. I ended up being the vice president of Knaresborough Spiritual Society.
Oh, wow.
I was the booking secretary. I remember booking Stephen Holbrook when he was first starting out. That's how long ago that was. I was young 20s, I would have said. So I was starting to enjoy life, but at the same time, I was married, had 2 young kids. By the age of 24, I knew that my marriage wasn't quite right, and I was sort of like in that victim role that we talk about.
Right.
But it was mentally being abused and not physically.
I think that's the worst.
Yeah, it is, because you don't really know that it's happening until you
Right.
see your light going down, 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 down.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it was the spiritual church that saved me and made me realise that I needed to get away. So that's what's happened. I packed my bags and took the kids with me, and off I trotted without a penny in my purse, penny to my name. And slowly, thankfully, to a beautiful, loving mum and dad, got myself back up and sorted. Then I met somebody who really connected with me in a soul flame. And he really brought the spiritual side of me out. He built me up, put me back into the cast that I always have been, which was great. And then unfortunately, just as we were getting there, I mean, I was even bringing spirit messages through for him and his family and getting back to that state again. He took to having cancer and died. So we'd only been married 18 months and he passed. So that really hit me, because there was that strong bond, that loving, and he'd take my 2 kids on and he was doing his best by them and all that. And then 3 months after that, my mother messaged me to say she wanted to talk to me. So I went round, I live round corner, went round to her and she told me that she'd been diagnosed with cancer.
Aye.
And apparently it was a very aggressive cancer that they didn't know much about. Something to do with the kidneys, diabetic, you see. And within 2 weeks, she'd passed. So that was straight after
Wow.
and that was the point when I closed all my spiritual work down and said, nah, how can you treat me like that? After being at service, that sort of thing. So I walked away from it all. I had a few years of my life that were a bit shady, for want of a better word. We're fighting against everything.
Right.
But yeah. And then I met my husband now, and he brought it all back out of me, because it was in his family as well, so he understood. His mother was like
Right.
white, so he understood these things. And then just slowly, it started to get better and better, and I started to go back to the SNU churches. But like I say, the majority of it, because I was just dipping in and out, is when COVID hit. And it just opened up. The whole of the world was at my fingertips, whereas I couldn't get down south in the UK to go to these wonderful events they have down at Glastonbury or down at Arthur Findlay College, and I couldn't do it because I'd got family ties and stuff.
Right.
Because I'm a family person, my family comes first, so I just couldn't up and off. So I just started exploring on Zoom and took some courses, and it led me into really getting into the healing side of things. And I do feel, and I will still say to this day, that the healing energy that I can work with and I can transmute and display everywhere is natural energy within that I am remembering from times of Lemuria and Atlantis. It's led me into learning about Akashic records.
Yeah.
I'm an Akashic record healer and reader, and wow, have I learnt so much in there. That
You
really
also
does.
teach it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
am teaching it now as well. Yeah, and that's opened my eyes up to so many human emotions and conditioning that goes on, and the triggers and this, that, other, and the blocks that can occur from it. And I can actually, I'm a people watcher, and I can see people going about the day-to-day business, and they're saying this and they're saying that, and I'm thinking, oh, that's putting a block on. I can see them being created, from the work I've done in there. And then the trance, I started taking the trance classes. I started with hypnosis at first, and it just didn't feel quite right, even though I could get into it like that. And then I went with Debbie, and I learned to do the breathing, and I learned to get into to find the energetics of connecting in with your guide that way. I went to Andy, and very much the same. And I thought, I need something just that bit more. And then lo and behold, I found you, Julie. And
Aw.
you've really brought it out of me and given me that push that I needed just to step over the threshold, and gave that confidence as well to know. Because, I mean, even though I'd been doing it for so long and bringing so much through that I could, and doing it from that space of love, you still get into that mind and think,
Yeah.
was it spirit or was it me? You will still, even now, on
Right.
days I think, did my mind get into that? But through Julie taking the photographs of when there's spirit around you, that's just pure evidence that helps
That's
you
like
to
a game
believe.
changer. Yeah,
It
that's a game
is.
changer. Yeah, it
And when I
is.
met you, you were still in the, what were we, beginners to intermediate? I'm like, why are you in
Yeah.
this class? I couldn't believe it. You just needed to, you already had it, Kaz. You just needed to have your confidence built with it. That's all, your trust.
Yeah,
So
I just needed that push. And it was so hard to find a class in the UK that was just that little bit more.
yeah.
You know, there's lots of beginners and sort of like better than beginners, but to find that class that really, I mean, you've got a gift, Julie. You can see it in people, and you know exactly how to nurture it out of them. And like I said, job done. And I couldn't
Yeah,
thank you enough. I couldn't.
Well, thank
she's
you.
a good mama. She's a good
She
mama.
is a good mama, and
She
she
is
comes
a good
across as a
mama.
mama as well. She really, really
Yeah,
does. She
yeah,
really
she's a
does.
keeper. She's a
Yeah.
keeper.
Definitely a keeper.
Well, thank you guys. That was nice of you. That's nice of you, Kaz. But like I said, it wasn't, I didn't teach you anything. You had it, you just had to have it brought out. So
Yeah,
I
but this is it. You can see when a teacher can see what that person has, and you can pull it out of them. That's a golden key. It really is, because
Hmm.
not all teachers can do that. Not
do
all
you
teachers
ever
can
Right.
wonder if
do
some
that.
teachers just don't do it because they stay in that same mode all the time with their students and don't, do you know what I mean? That's what I have found happening a lot with trans, and maybe not as much as mediumship, but yeah.
Yeah,
They
very
move
much so.
think it-
forward. I'm finding so many
I-
people when you say the words advanced to them, they get intimidated. But they're
Mm.
advanced. And then I had somebody say, well, why, if I'm advanced, do I need to take advanced class? I said, because you need to, there's so much more to trance. You need to continue to develop that confidence and that trust within yourself.
That's
all-
right. Even
Yeah.
when you've got to the state of allowing your guide to come through and speaking and even doing a couple of demonstrations, you still need to continue your development. Your development will never stop.
Yeah.
Right.
If you stop developing, well, all that hard work that you've put in is slowly going to web away. So you've got to keep it going.
Well, and
You see,
that's what the
when they,
spirit world teaches too,
that's,
right? That
yeah.
they're continually learning and growing, and right. So,
Yeah, that's
I
what
mean, that's
Miguel was saying, because I was like a couple months ago, I'm like, you don't really need a mentor. You're so, he's there. He's right there. He said, you know, Julie, I feel like I never stop developing. And if something shall come up. So tonight I went with him with that theta stuff, like we were talking to get into that and hold it. So even as good, I don't know if you've seen him in trance, but he's absolutely amazing. But even though he's so good with it, he still feels that he needs it. And I think it's wonderful when we continue to want to learn and develop and not have our ego get into it. So,
Yeah. Because there
and be
could
in a
always be
safe
something
environment.
new.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, look at Tuesdays, Julie. There's this trans evidential. I mean, that's my goal, to be able to do that from a point of a comfort zone, to bring somebody's loved one through as their loved one, and to actually speak with their loved one's voice and their personality totally. I mean, I'm a long way off doing that. But I think that's amazing, and what a gift that could be to give somebody. I mean, that is totally healing.
That's a
Totally.
wonderful class. You guys
Oh,
have rocked it.
yeah.
All from the, how long has it been? Over a year now? or
Been
more?
in about 18 months, I think.
Yeah, and the how many months?
18.
Oh, I thought you said 8. I was going 18. Oh my gosh. And most people couldn't even hardly do mediumship. Even you, Kaz, you had
Yep.
a tough time. And look at y'all now. It's like, oh my gosh. It's
Yeah,
been,
it's-
that is really,
But
that's one of my
That's
favorite.
again because you're providing that safe environment for growth.
Yeah.
Well, you know, also, yeah, and people, and it's something we haven't done any, people don't realize we can blend with our loved ones and bring them through in trance, our own loved ones. Something that we probably should do in class again, because I did it with the 2 that I kept in the front yesterday, and they just broke down. They were just so, they couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
One brought their mom through, and the other one brought their dad through.
Yeah, I must admit I've done that before in like a meditation state. You know, like when you're going into trance through a meditation and meeting your loved one over the rainbow bridge, and then sitting down and blending with them, and the energetics of it, it's like whoosh. It's like when you're table tipping and you find out who's
Oh,
sitting at the
right?
table and you feel the energy of that. It's like
Yeah.
you cannot describe it, but you will break down straight away in
Yeah.
tears. It is
Right, you
I
can't-
haven't
amazing.
done that. I want to do table tipping. I have not done
Oh,
table tipping yet.
Oh,
you would
Julie.
love it.
I want
I
to.
grew up doing that. I love it.
Let's see if I can
Ooh.
get my daughter and my granddaughter to do it with me. You know what I mean? So yeah, I need the right table. But yeah, I've heard, and I know Kaz, you had a blast on it. Kaz, it's it for the first time
It's
last year.
Yeah, first time. Well, I've done it twice now, and like it's just so unbelievable.
It's kind of like the pictures, right? It's undeniable that spirit is there controlling it, and you know, with your energy, it is, yeah, it's a great feeling.
It is. You just
I'm
can't.
trying to shop around for that special little round or triangle table
Right.
from a thrift store with energy on it. I'm saying
Right.
You'll have to take a
It'll
trip over
come
to
to you.
Tim and have a go.
Oh, that would be great, right? Oh, I would love that. We need to do something like that. Have a little, I don't know, a retreat.
Yeah.
Do something.
New Orleans is a place to do it too.
Oh, right. I know. Woo.
I act like party city. I'm too old to be partying.
Right. Well, we can watch them party. They got some great haunted spots around here too. They have an old bar in the French Quarter. It's been around like since the 1800s.
Wow.
And it's got some energy in there. Woo, yeah.
Anyway, Kaz, thank you for joining us. And what I wanted to say is Kaz does teach trance, beginners and intermediate at this time. And what else? Akashic Records?
Yes, teach you Akashic Records, and I do Akashic healing and reading. And
where can they get a hold of you? Where can they get a hold of you? Do you have a website?
I've got a Facebook page, which is Kaz Champion, the Modern Mystic. I do have a YouTube channel.
Okay.
I'm the Modern Mystic on there. I do have a web page, but I couldn't tell you the address of that if you asked me. But it's it's listed on my Facebook page. Down into the bits.
I really need to work on it. My year's coming up to repay it, and I've done like half of it. I'm like,
yeah, he's not much fun, is it?
No, it's time consuming. It really is. It's very time consuming. But anyway, thank you, Kaz. I'm going to stop the recording now, and it's been really nice.
It has
been lovely to be with you.